And we are back, week 9 of the NFL season. Fantasy Football, the Flying Elvis' Fantasy Football Show. I am Tito, Jeff Thidoff. He is Khan, Adam Khan, sporting a very nice hat. He's at AJCon95. I'm at Thit Happens. Thank you for joining us here as the DSP Media Online family. Adam, it's week 9, brother. We are at the halfway, more than halfway point, I guess, for the season. We're 8.5 weeks would be the midway point, I guess, for 17 games. But anyway, week 9 out of 18. Let's just say that. So halfway through.
Take your time.
I got it. Con, this week, in addition to the normal bye week stuff we got to deal with, there's some other news going on with some key players being out for various reasons. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with one of the players that we'll be mentioning today is almost as old as our week 3 reference, Christian Okoye, I believe. Adrian Peterson is back in the mix. You never thought we'd be talking about ADP this year. But so I guess we're going to lead off with Derrick Henry.
Okay. I don't want to take a victory lap because I feel bad doing that. Okay, so I'm not going to do it, Adam. I'm telling you, I'm not going to take a victory.
You're not going to do it.
Right. But, I mean, I did say, look, I know it was kind of a fluky injury. It's a fluke injury. But I said in the preseason.
Wait, I need a 20.
No, listen.
Are you standing this entire time?
Yes. I stand every time we do this, yeah.
You've been
The entire time. I always stand.
Okay. Well, I mean, I stand when I pee, but otherwise,
okay.
When I do podcasts, I get comfortable.
That's what I do. I get too excited.
Okay.
Okay, so Derrick Henry, I did say in the preseason, look, a guy with this many carries is bound to break down. I didn't expect it to be a foot thing. I thought it'd be something else, but this
that's not breaking down. I broke a bone in my foot.
It kind of is, though. No, I think it kind of is, Adam. I think we're looking at this now. I think we need to pay attention. McCaffrey, all those touches for a couple years. Look what he's had to deal with the last 2 years. And now it's Derrick Henry. It's sad to see. I don't like seeing somebody get hurt, but I'm not surprised.
Your theory is shot in the foot, pun intended.
Of course.
Because they signed Peterson, who is 36 years old.
It has a lot more carries on his foot.
A lot more carry than Henry. I understand that the last several years he has less tread on his tires.
Okay.
But but he has still been an effective. Actually, I got an over/under for you later on when we get to that game. One of our old standby games we used to do.
Sure.
But so yes, he has been adequate, and he has a similar. Listen, no one's as big and powerful right now as Derrick Henry is.
Well,
but he has a similar running. Yeah, he has a similar running style.
Sure.
And the line we saw from Henry last week, which was like 28 for 60 some yards. I mean, it was not pretty. I think that's the type of stat line we'll see from Peterson, not the 28. And I just mean like that kind of just churning out
3 yards to carry,
short yardage type things. A Frank Gore type of carry totals, week to week, 12 to 14. When they're winning, they'll grind them out in the fourth quarter kind of thing. He had some productive games with Washington. I know a lot of them were in the first 2 weeks, and I think he had that one splash carry for like 70 yards midway through the season.
Right.
But just 2 seasons ago, I believe he was at 900 some. I mean, he's okay. 2 seasons ago from 34 to 36. I'm not helping my case here.
He's rested.
Yeah, he's well rested.
Yes.
But you know what? So is your handcuff there.
Jared Nichols. Yeah, McNichols there.
I mean, this is kind of like we don't know a lot about McNichols. We'll get to this game soon. But I at least for the first couple weeks, because you're right. Peterson hasn't played in 10 months. He hasn't had a preseason. He hasn't had a training camp. It's going to take him at least 3-4 weeks to kind of, get that rust off. So short term, I see him as like a short. We don't even know if he's going to play this week. He may not.
I think he'll play this week.
They'll dress him, but I don't think they'll put him in for more than a couple series or short yardage situations.
All right, we'll break down what we think he can do carry-wise when we get to that game, the Sunday night game this week with Tennessee and the Rams. But then the other name I never thought we'd bring up, but now we're going to bring up, not that he's going to start,
Blake Bortles?
Yes, we got Blake Bortles too. We got Blake Bortles and Adrian Peterson right now. And what year is this that we're talking about them? Now, Bortles isn't going to play.
Sad. That's what this year is.
Unless Jordan Love gets hurt. But Aaron Rodgers, immunized, not vaccinated, immunized, big difference. Yeah. And so who knows what else. I mean,
I didn't mean to roll my eyes and piss people off.
No, it's okay. We're allowed to do that now. You can roll your eyes at that because Rodgers deceived everybody in this one, I believe. And I don't know if any other players are at risk now. If he's in the quarterback room with Jordan Love, does Jordan Love have a chance of catching this from him? Could there? I don't know about the close contact, how it's going to work. But bottom line is Rodgers now is supposed to be quarantined for 10 days. That puts him back with the team on Saturday next week, the day before they play Seattle.
If I were the Packers, I would actually put Bortles in that meeting so that Jordan Love doesn't catch it. Because the last thing you want is you want to quarantine Bortles and have them missing it. Yeah. You don't want him seeing the field at all. That'd be a total disaster.
I'd have Blake Bortles deliver things over to Aaron Rodgers' house.
Right. Here's the playbook.
Take the playbook over there real quick.
Right.
Say hi.
Yeah. Small sample size for Love, right? I mean, preseason with so little information on him right now. There's reason to believe that the Packers can still do well.
Sure, there is.
Talk about that game, and I think that's more of a factor of Kansas City's defense and Green Bay's running backs that could alter the state of this game. I wouldn't hit that panic button if you're a Green Bay owner of a fantasy player, and I wouldn't get super confident either if you're an owner of some Chiefs players. So
I'll tell you this: I think Rodgers has screwed the Packers. Could have potentially screwed the Packers a big way because if they lose this game now, and now they're like an 8-point dog on the road to Kansas City. Very, very possible, very likely they lose this game. If this loss, and maybe the Seattle game because Rodgers isn't prepared, if they somehow lose home field advantage in the playoffs, that means the NFC Championship game might be played in Arizona versus Green Bay. Rodgers looks like a complete asshole.
Well, Arizona does have the game, or no, Green Bay does have the game advantage.
Has the game up, yes, they do.
The tiebreaker.
I'm just saying though. But,
so it may only affect them one game, and it's not a conference game, so the tiebreakers aren't as severe. But yeah, this could if it's 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when you're starting to like, come on, man.
And I'm not talking about get vaxxed, don't get vaxxed, political. Right wing, left wing. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm just saying Rodgers is an asshole for saying he's saying immunized,
right?
Putting the team at risk and missing this game now. That's on Rodgers. And if they lose, Rodgers looks like a complete jerk.
Kansas City, home Seattle, and at Minnesota. So let's assuming that he has more severe symptoms, he's going to miss more than just this game.
NFL could suspend him too.
Yeah.
If the NFL comes out and says, you know what, you're suspended for 2 games, then what happens, And then I'm just telling you, man, it's like
and then the Rams. So it doesn't get easy for them until a Bears game, but then it's Ravens, Browns, and Vikings again. So yeah, the Packers can't afford this kind of setback. Again, a game, he'll come back well rested.
But if they lose by a game though, the home field advantage, and they don't get the bye, and they've got to play an extra game, and they're on the road for the NFC Championship game, all of a sudden now you look at Rodgers like, you know what? You talk about one more chance, wanting one more ring and all this stuff. And by the way, Rodgers better hope Jordan Love doesn't look damn good. We'll talk about it. Move on. Go to the games. Let's do it. Come on.
I was gonna say though, I was gonna throw in the Caddyshack line, but you went too far with your rambling. So
what's your Caddyshack line? Let's hear it now.
Thanks a lot, Danny.
There we go. Okay. Thanks. Oh, thanks for nothing. But thanks a lot.
See, you got me all. Yeah.
It's thanks for nothing.
You're bad.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start with those bits of big news with this clunker of a Thursday night game.
God.
It's a clunker of a Thursday night game.
It should be in London.
But it does. This absolutely should be London. But this does at least have some fantasy potential. The Jets at Indianapolis Colts. We saw just how bad Carson Wentz could be.
Yeah.
And we saw a little bit of new guy, Mike White,
first Jet for over 400 yards since Vinny Testaverde. I think he's got the record for most yards in his first start in NFL history also.
I believe so. But I almost guarantee you Testaverde threw some interceptions in that game. Just a hunch.
Sure he did. Oh, yeah, you know that. Yeah. Or fumbled, whatever.
Right. So, there's been a lot of discussion about Wentz and his decision-making. Fantasy-wise, the numbers were there. It was a productive day for him.
Right.
We talked early in the season and in the preseason about Pittman as if he can take over a little bit more of a prominent role, and he clearly did that, certainly early on in this game.
Right.
Jonathan Taylor is a closer. I like those two. For bye week purposes, I think this is a good matchup for Wentz. The Jets have been gritty and have won a couple of games against good teams, but they've also been giving up some points along the way. So there's certainly 3 startable Colts in this game.
Down points to start. Okay, there's 4 bye teams. This week, the Lions are off with Jared Goff. Seattle's off with Geno Smith. Wait, Tampa Bay's off with Brady.
We'll play the Jared Goff game now. Jared Goff or Blake Bortles.
Right, okay. I'm saying out of the 4 teams that are off, though, the only startable quarterback that's missing from that is Tom Brady. And now you've got Rodgers, right? So
yeah,
I don't think Carson Wentz is startable. I think you've got to be really desperate. Like, how desperate would you have? I mean,
well, it stands to reason too that if you had Russell Wilson, that you also might have Wentz. Wentz easily could be a backup if you have Brady or Wilson as your starter.
Yeah.
You're right. Goff doesn't factor in.
Right.
And most likely and Fitzpatrick, those duo probably didn't factor in.
Right.
So yeah, there's two quarterbacks who are either injured this week on a bye.
Right.
That you would think Wentz would be a relevant play if you have that combination.
I see Pittman and Taylor. I'm with you on those 2. I still think that Wentz is startable this week.
Okay. The Jets, I mean,
God, I don't.
I know it's your phrase is I don't trust him.
Right.
And that's fair. It's totally fair. But Michael Carter had himself
I'm okay with Carter. I am. I am okay with Carter now. Carter is getting more and more involved. He getting a lot higher snap count now. I'm fine with Michael Carter, but there's no one else I really want on the Jets team. I know Mike White threw for 400 yards against the Browns or against the Bengals. But I don't think he's going to do it again this week. Now, a short week. Look, the Jets have a better chance to win the game. I don't think Mike White is going to come anywhere near the numbers he had against the Bengals.
That's fair. But the Jets were able to, this is a weird one. This could be like a sneaky defensive play too. Again, the Jets have allowed a lot of points, but they really are solid against the run. And Wentz is a little, should we say, off sometimes.
Right.
I still think you wouldn't consider either one of these defenses to play.
Okay, pick between the 2 though.
Well,
you got to start one. I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're probably like it's one of those comeback games. The
come down. Yeah,
come down again.
Come back down to earth. Yeah,
down to earth. Yes, that's entirely possible. I do like the Colts don't have a lot of names on defense, but I do like their front 7, especially up front against the run, and that's going to put more pressure on White. Again, Carter, he's not going to wow you, I think, rushing the ball. I mean, I know he had 77 last week, and he has scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, but receiving is really where his strength has come to play the last 2-3 games.
Right. That's where the difference has been.
And that's going to be there all day for a new quarterback who's going to be checking down and relying a lot on the intermediate passes.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Carter's probably the only one. So bye weeks, we'll go back to, Fournette is off. Seattle, that's a mess kind of right now. Washington,
Gibson, McKissick
with Gibson out, sure, and Swift. So
yeah.
Now, Swift. These guys, none of these guys, except for maybe Fournette, are you thinking there's issues with all of them? Gibson's been nursing that injury, yet he's been serviceable. McKissick's been stealing some touches, especially at a passing game. Mm-hmm. Swift has been a disappointment, but still commands a lot of touches.
Up and down.
So Carter could be a sneaky flex play.
Yep.
And I'd feel okay about that.
I'd feel okay with Carter too. I like Carter this week.
I feel like we spent too much time on that game.
We probably did.
Battle of Ohio.
Browns and Bengals. So Cleveland's at Cincinnati this week. Cleveland coming off the loss to Pittsburgh, and the drama with
forget so fast.
The drama with OBJ.
Yeah.
The Browns have sent him home. I don't think he plays another down for them. I don't think he's going to play this week either, and that's okay. I don't think he wasn't. If you were starting him, you were an idiot. But if you, it doesn't really affect Baker Mayfield's value to me. I still don't think Mayfield's a start. I have not thought Mayfield was a fantasy quarterback all year long. Landry's fine in a PPR league. You're still starting Chubb, but there's not another Brown receiver we're starting other than Landry, and Landry's probably a good start in a PPR league. I'd start him in a non PPR. I'm not sure on that one.
I don't think Baker cracks the top 20.
Nope.
This week. I mean, certainly in that range, and certainly not anywhere near the top 14 if you're in a bit of a bigger league. So no, Baker's out. Burrow, yes, he's in. I mean, he's clearly been one of the top 10 material too. And Cleveland's had some weird games though, right? I mean, like Minnesota, they shut him down. Pittsburgh, for the most part, shut him down.
Pittsburgh shut themselves down, but that's okay. We'll talk about it later.
That's fair. But I still think Burrow, the three receivers. Listen, we've been kind of talking Boyd down, but like he comes back with these steady 70-yard, one touchdown type of games, and it's for a flex play. It's almost too risky not to play him if you are deep at receiver and are thin at running back.
I'm fine with all three of the Cincinnati receivers this week. I'm fine with them as Higgins, Boyd, and Jamar Chase. I'm fine with all three of them, both of them. I'll start all three of them.
So. What do you do though with the running back tandem? I mean, that's gotten a little murky. I mean, I know Mixon is still without question, without question, is still the guy, but he's losing some touches, and it's got to concern you if you have invested a second round pick in him or better.
Well, look, in this year, Adam, we've seen it, and we'll talk more of these guys later on. But with Pollard, with AJ Dillon, with P. Ryan now in this situation, you've got situations where backup running backs are getting significant enough touches to warrant a start in a flex situation. And I think P. Ryan's probably right on that cusp right now. I mean, Mixon, yes, you might be disappointed. I think he'll be fresh for the entire year. You're talking about a 17-game season. Mixon was hurt for part of last year. I think they're being smart about the way they use Mixon. And I think that P. Ryan has made himself more valuable to this team by performing when he's out there, and gives the Bengals some options to give Mixon some breathers to where he's more healthy and more refreshed down the stretch in the games and in the season. So P. Ryan for me, he's a borderline flex start for me. I still think Mixon's going to be I think Mixon's a top 10 running back this week. And I think that Cleveland's defense, with how suspect it's been, like I said, start the receivers. I have no problem with that. And Cleveland's in disarray.
Well, so the Jets did well against the run last week. It was all, and they pushed Cincinnati back a little bit. So the Cincinnati they had to really air it out a lot more than I think they wanted to. But Pirine didn't have a carry,
right?
And so I think they made the best of it with Mixon. I mean, I think keeping them honest a little bit with the running game. So it's going to have to be one of the situations where, I mean, and this is a type of game. I mean, I can see Cleveland. You're right. Cleveland is a mess right now, and I could see this situation not really being as competitive as anticipated.
Yeah.
In which case we'd see Pirine again. And by the way, I thankful to a text I received because I had been mispronouncing his name last week. So I don't know where you were. But
I should have told you it's P. Ryan. Yeah, I didn't want to tell you. You thought it was Jim Perrine. It's actually Samaje P. Ryan. You're off just a little bit.
Right. So thank you, Michael. Anyway, that's about the only thing he's good for. So, but at least he came first.
Yes,
right.
Corrections. Yes.
So Yeah, I don't think Perine's an option this week. I think it's going to have to go with the ebb and flow of the game. So unless you really know, and yes, Mixon's carries haven't really very few times this year. 19 might be the high. Maybe early in the year, I think he might have had more, but he's been limited the last month for sure. And so, but you can't bench him.
Nope, you're not benching Mixon. No.
And I'm not going. I'm not throwing out a potential 40% snap count running back as a maybe. I'm not throwing him out there as a flex.
I will tell you Mixon's carries right now, and he did have opening week. Mixon had 29 carries against Minnesota. Then he had 20, and since then the high's been 18. Yes, in the last 2 weeks he's had 26 total carries and 5 total targets. So yes, you are correct on that one. That his numbers certainly after the first game is a workhorse. He had 29 for 127 and the touchdown against Minnesota. But
I was loving it too, man. I was like, yeah, and then the next week with 20, I was like, sweet, man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And he was among the top 3 in touches up until just a couple weeks ago. And I think Naji surpassed him.
Right.
And of course, Henry won't. So we'll get to that game again shortly. So as far as the Browns, I mean, Landry had a really tough game, but he's still
PPR.
Funny because last week I said he had the best hands in the league.
Right, I know the way he did, yeah.
So sorry. But not for lack of targets. I mean, they're still throwing it to him. He's still their best receiver. So yep. I'm not benching him. Dearness Johnson went from starting and had 70. He did. But he's 70% of the snaps, of course, in the game he started. Went down to 31% of the snaps when Chubb came back. So, he's eased into more of a Mark Ingram type role in terms of spelling Chubb, not splitting.
Right. Yep.
And so I'm probably going to err on the side of that caution. Leave him on the bench if I've got him, and roll out Chubb as kind of the all-purpose player. Him and Landry.
Broncos are at the Cowboys, and on the Broncos, look, I still Javonte Williams. He's got to be the guy, doesn't he? I mean, look, he looks so much better than Gordon. I like Gordon, but I think Williams looks so much better than Gordon. I wish it was a 65-35 split on a weekly basis.
So they're commanding almost equal playing time. Equal touches, almost
equal touch, yeah.
But Gordon's getting the significant ones. I mean, he's getting the looks inside the 5 and 10 yard line. Williams is getting like the check down passes and some between the 20s type of. It's just, yes, we see the talent, we see the spark that he can provide. He certainly has the speed, and Gordon was a big part of those trade rumors. To Tennessee this week. But quite frankly, I'm not sure what Denver's playing for. I'm not sure why they wouldn't have pursued that trade, or at least listen. And I'm sure they did listen to offers. I'm not sure why they didn't come close to pulling the trigger.
Pull the trigger, yeah.
So yeah, Gordon on Tennessee looks a lot sweeter than it does staying on with Denver. But
with Williams,
I still think Gordon is the if you have to choose one, I think Gordon's the one you choose. Now,
I think Williams is the one you choose.
Am I starting them against the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, listen, Gordon's got the scores. You know, again, he's getting the significant fantasy point touches. And it's probably just a matter of time. But I don't think you can go with either one of them this week.
I'm fine going Williams this week. I don't want Gordon this week, but I think Williams this week is a better play. I know Dallas' defense has played so much better than it has in years past, but I think that it's Williams' job. I think this will be a week where Williams overtakes him and gets hopefully 60 to 65% of the touches versus Gordon. But we don't know. Look, the quarterback.
That sounds more. You even said the word. That sounds more hopeful than it does. I mean, you must have Williams in many of your leagues.
I'm not invested. I have no part of Williams in any league I'm in. None. Okay. No part. Well, I take it back. I traded for him in one league that I'm helping someone else out with.
All right.
Other than that, I have no part of Javonte Williams. But now the Denver quarterback situation, it's shady. It's
how can he not play this week?
Well, what I'm saying is, so you're playing both receivers. You're playing Judy and Sutton, right? And you're playing Fant.
Okay, I thought you were going out talking about Dak. I thought you were transitioning over to Dak.
No, Denver, no, still. But I mean, you're playing. Although Denver's quarterback situation sucks, you're still playing Judy, Sutton, Fant, right?
I mean, it depends.
With both Seattle receivers out, with all Tampa's receivers out, with Terry McLaurin out.
You could sneak Sutton in there in a 10-team league. You know, he could be your bottom. Listen, as flex plays, if you're playing 3 wide, if it's PPR, I can see the receivers playing a bigger role in a traditional league.
Traditionally, I don't think the Broncos might have scored a touchdown. Who the hell knows? And if they do, it's Deontay Williams. But yeah, I mean, who knows with that though? Yeah. I don't trust the quarterbacks, but yeah, a PPR league, yes. If you're in a standard league, I don't start any of them probably in a standard league, any of the receivers.
Yeah, you know, Judy. I mean, Judy's first game back after 7 weeks out. He's had a nice opener.
He did, yeah.
Got him back into the mix against Washington, and you know, Sutton has been kind of a every other week type of splash receiver.
Right.
Hasn't been consistent enough. A lot. You know, it's been up and down quite a bit.
Yep.
Last week was a dud. So
yeah.
The previous 2-3 weeks, you were like, okay, here we go. So and Bridgewater just isn't. I mean, he has to be. They're gonna, especially against Dallas, they're gonna have to open things up a little bit.
That's why I think just the sheer volume on the PPR thing.
And they traded their franchise defensive player. So
right, yeah.
You know, not that one player makes that team, but I mean, he is their heart and soul.
The heart and soul of the defense, yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's got to take a little air out of their tires this week, and so I'm liking a whole lot of Dallas Cowboys, you know, and I'm really shying away from Denver this week.
So I say in a PPR, you start both receivers and the tight end. Traditional, I say no, and I'm on record as liking Williams over Gordon. You like Gordon over Williams. That's fine. We both hate Denver's quarterbacks.
Truth.
Accurate. Okay. Dallas now. The Dallas side of the ball. Look, yeah, I agree. Dak's got to play this week. I know he's got to play. He has to play this week. So last week you got screwed. You had the situation last week with Dak where it was like you and I texted back and forth a little bit, and it was, you know, Dak had the Sunday night game, and you had to decide early in the day, am I playing Dak or am I playing the soon to be injured Jameis Winston? And Winston did more than Dak.
Yeah,
not a lot more. You did stick with Winston, right?
I stuck with Winston.
Okay, good.
And my other option was Baker.
Cooper Rush. Oh, Baker. Okay, yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I could have gone out and
Cooper Rush,
spent the transaction, thrown him in there. I mean, listen, it had a sexy appeal to it, but
did you win or lose?
I figured Winston was a safe enough play. Get me 10, 14 points.
Did you win or lose?
Anyway, I got 4 points from him, and he was my highest scoring quarterback. So technically, I made the right call.
Right, you've chosen wisely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we think Dak will play, which means Dak, of course, is a play. Zeke is obviously a play. Pollard.
I think Zeke is slowly heating up a little bit here.
Sure he is. Yeah, I think Zeke's gonna get better as the year goes on. Yeah. I think what you're seeing here, Zeke. There was all this talk about coming into this year. He said he weighed as much as a freshman at Ohio State, like he was in really good shape. He started off slowly a little bit, but I think the Zeke is going to be a guy who could be a second half monster.
Monster. That's a big word.
That's a big word. I mean, it's a big
word.
Not a long word.
It's not a right.
Right. Yeah, but it's a certainly a significant word. So Pollard's shines come off a little bit. He seemed like a must start for a while in a flex spot, but
during the heavy bye weeks, I remember we were like, listen, you got to throw him in and Dillon and McKissick. But you know, when we've already talked about some of the running backs, or the lack thereof of the running backs that are going to be missing this week, and so I don't think Pollard really gets into that discussion. The only thing that concerns me, quite frankly, is Cooper's hamstring. I mean, he played.
Yep.
He made some fantastic catches after he'd been on the sideline working the hamstring out. So
right.
But those things tend to linger. And CeeDee Lamb has been at times amazing,
Right.
and at times kind of a disappointment. He's got a little bit of a Robert Woods in him this year. Like, where's CD at? So
Lamb's been a disappointment to me. I expected. Look, I'm not. Look, he's had some good games. I'm just saying, I expected a better year out of him so far this year.
Yeah,
he's
and
still a must start.
It started out the first 3 weeks.
Yeah,
you top 10, right?
Yep.
I mean, absolutely. He had a nice week against. He opened with Tampa. That's what it was. It was Tampa
right.
and the Chargers.
He was looking
really good.
Yep.
And listen, and he also had the last 3 weeks have been better.
Sure.
But I would be hoping for more touchdowns.
Yeah.
And Cooper has kind of not reclaimed his role. I think they are now 1A and 1B. It's just depending on the week.
But which one do you want this week? I want Lamb.
With that hamstring, I'm still gonna throw out CD Lamb.
Yeah, is Schultz
if I had to choose
for you?
Schultz is, I think, has earned that every week play.
Okay, that's fair enough. Houston at Miami now. You've got the Texans. I don't know. I don't know if Davis Mills is playing quarterback or Tyrod Taylor, and I don't think it matters. You're not playing either one of those guys. And really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect Brandon Cooks at all either, because Brandon Cooks is still, no matter who plays quarterback, Brandon Cooks is going to have 8 targets and probably 5 or 6 catches for about 75 yards. So Cooks is still a start for me, but there's no one else on that Houston offense I want any part of. Is there anybody you would even consider starting?
A sleeper play, man. Sleeper play is whoever's the quarterback. Whoever the quarterback. Listen, you and I may not have them. We may not be starting them, but someone might be. And someone might be in a really terrible quarterback situation. And if Tyrod Taylor's starting this week, that's a sleeper play. Miami is
that situation. Now, there's no way you're starting him. Like, how bad does your quarterback situation have to be? Okay,
this is what I'm saying.
Okay, you don't have Goff, right? You don't have Geno Smith. You don't have. If you have Brady, you got a better backup, and you got Heineke. I'm looking right now. Even the guys we talked about, I would start Baker Mayfield over either of those quarterbacks. Would you?
What if you had Winston go down? What if you had Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and both are down and now you're scrambling? Listen, you and I are the only fantasy players out there in the world. So somewhere, somebody needs a quarterback. And if you're playing the Dolphins,
I'll take Mike White. I want Mike White over both those guys. Do you?
No.
Mike White was on your way. Really?
I'll take that. I will take.
You will take the Houston quarterback.
I'll take the Houston quarterback
over Mike White.
Okay.
Will you take the Houston quarterback
Mark it down
over Jordan Love? I know we're foreshadowing a little bit here, but will you do it?
Think about it.
The answer is no. Over Garoppolo?
Oh, I think about that too. That's
home against Arizona.
He's got a bad matchup. Yeah, Garoppolo.
I
probably wouldn't do that.
Over Justin Fields?
Yes.
No way. Okay, move. That's fine. We're gonna.
Okay.
I can't wait to do this next week.
I say yes. You say no way. I feel like I've had this conversation before, just not with you.
That's fine. You had it with yourself in the bathroom. I'm telling you right now, we're going to come back and talk about this next week, because there's no way you're taking the Houston quarterback over Justin Fields, over Mike White, over Garoppolo, over Jordan Love. There's no way. No way. All right, that's Houston. No running backs, right? Please, for Houston?
No.
Okay, good. Let's do Miami now. Nice matchup for Tua. Another guy.
For Gaskin. Gaskin hasn't. We haven't mentioned in a while. Yes, it is a nice matchup for Tua.
Yes, and Gaskin too.
No question.
Gaskin, it seems to get the volume to where it makes him startable as an RB2 or flex every week. I think Gaskin's reached that status now based on the number of carries and number of catches, the potential for catches that he has.
So only recently has he gotten a uptick in carries.
Sure.
27 the last 2 weeks. But prior to that, it wasn't anything reliable. But this is a good week again, this is a sleeper type of play. This is a situation where if you're hurting for running backs, you got injuries, no one will trade with you, whatever. Gaskin's I got him in maybe cracking top 20, top 15 range. I mean,
he's getting 5 targets a week on average. And that helps out a little bit right there because even if he's not running the ball great or running the ball often, but yeah, you're right. 27 carries the last 2 weeks. Last week, he only averaged 3 yards a carry. He had a down week last week, but it was Buffalo. And so you can't really expect a whole lot out of him against that Bills team with how good the defense is and how mediocre the Dolphins offense has been. But yeah, I think Gaskin's an RB2 flex type play this week.
Yeah.
On receivers, Waddle, Parker, yes, no, both, maybe, none.
I mean, I listen again. This
let me ask you this: are they unstartable?
I mean, I like Tua, but these are flex guys. If you have them,
Parker?
and like you normally aren't going to consider them, but if you're having bye week or injury issues,
right?
Then yeah, I like them as flex plays.
I think there's enough wide receivers off this week that you would normally start between Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Washington that they are both startable this week. And Gesicki is a tight end. I think he has worked his way into every week 12-team league starter.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. I mean, and I've been clearly, one of his advocates over the last several weeks, and so last week was a bit of a downer, but by and large, he has come through with some at worst modest numbers, and so he's certainly not going to hurt you in any this week, and he hasn't really all season.
He played what he really started to take off when Brissett was quarterback. There was concern when Tua came back that maybe it would drop off, but I think still he's a valuable guy. I think he still gets enough volume to where he is in every week starter in a 12-team league.
So Gaskin, when he has double-digit touches, he has had at least 75 yards in every game. 75
total yards. Yep.
Except for last week, he had 15 touches against the Bills. We can understand that.
Yeah.
With the talent the Bills have on defense, but New England, Vegas, what was the other one? Tampa. That came more of receiving than anything.
Right.
And Atlanta, all were productive games for him when he is given enough opportunities.
Sure.
So, I like that. Again, we just heading back to the receivers. I don't know if there's any one receiver that I'm in love with for Miami, except for the tight end.
I like Parker more than Waddle, though. I think it's close, but I like Parker more than Waddle.
I guess again, like
I know you don't care.
Well, I don't care, but I'm going to use my own statement on myself. Is that somebody out there needs a receiver? I agree with you. I think Parker's got, especially in a PPR, I think Parker's got the advantage.
Parker's got more than Waddle. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we're going with. Yeah. Get Gesicki right. You don't get P. Ryan right in pronunciation. That's amazing. Good for you. Speaking of Atlanta, they are at New Orleans to take on the Saints. Suddenly, we'll get to New Orleans in a second. Atlanta, Calvin Ridley's left the team for personal reasons. After he missed the London game, and then he missed last week for personal reasons, and now he's out indefinitely with personal reasons. That's a huge deal. A lot of people took him as their top receiver this year, man.
I mean, listen, it's just more Swiss Army knives for Patterson to use.
I know.
I mean, like Mike Davis has been mostly a dud, and I know he's getting some a respectable amount of carries, but like he's not doing anything with it really. Patterson is their everything weapon right now, and Matt Ryan at best is a bye week injury starter at this point.
I'm with you on that. Yeah,
Patterson is the only guy I'm throwing out there,
especially this week against New Orleans. New Orleans defense is stout, and so I'm not worried about Matt Ryan. What I want to know though, and I'm going to put you on the spot. You don't know the answer to it, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyways. I mean, who Marshawn Lattimore lines up with is going to determine who has the really big day for Atlanta. Like if Marshawn Lattimore is on Kyle Pitts, that's going to hurt Pitts' value a little bit. If he shadows Patterson most of the game in some way, like when Patterson splits out, if Lattimore goes with him, that probably sets up for Pitts and even maybe Justin Gage to have more opportunities. But Lattimore is the key on that team as far as the defensive alignment for the Saints.
You know what Lattimore is good for?
What's he good for?
Fantasy points, because he's targeted so often. And I know this because I have him.
Because you have him.
And no, Tito did not know that he was going to be talking shit on one of my defensive backs.
I didn't know that. You're right.
Didn't know that. But he's good for fantasy numbers. You know, it's like nobody ever picked up Richard Sherman because nobody ever threw to him. It was like,
Right.
you know, Revis Island. Like he was one of the worst defensive backs to have on your team.
No one threw to Deion Sanders either.
No, but Lattimore, fantasy gold.
All right, so Atlanta, we think Patterson's a start. Pitts is still going to be a start, even though we just talked about him a little bit, but not Ryan, not Gage, and probably not Davis unless you are extremely desperate. If you're starting Mike Davis, you're desperate. Let's put it that way, right?
I would agree. And you know, other than Pitts, I mean, right? There's nobody out there.
Pitts, Patterson.
No, I'm sorry. So beyond Patterson, there's Pitts.
That's it.
They had, you know, the 33 and 32 receptions. Ridley had 31. So, and after that, the bottom falls out.
Nothing.
So, you know, I mean, Gage isn't even in their top 8 of receivers right now. So,
I thought Gage would step up.
He will be now.
Yeah, I expected Gage to have a better game last week. He was pretty much invisible. So, yes, that was his week last week. Now, switching over to New Orleans, and they haven't said who's going to start yet this week. If it, you know, I got to believe if Taysom Hill is healthy, I have to believe he's a starter. Don't you? It's not Simeon, is it?
No, I would think that Hill is the starter.
If Hill is healthy.
So what the Derrick Henry injury does is make Alvin Kamara the best fantasy running back in the league.
Oh, come on. I'll take Dalvin Cook. But go ahead.
But look at the touches. Look at the volume of, even with Ingram. You know, Kamara still had his usual workload minus 5%. I mean, it wasn't a huge drop off. He's got 23 touches per game. And Ingram had his usual, right? Like 8. I mean,
sure.
But by the way, how fun is it to have them back in the post game press conferences?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, right. It's the best. I love that. Yes, I do love that.
That's worth it alone just to stay up to watch the highlights, just to see those two do their shtick.
I'm not going to argue with you on the fact that Kamara is a must start every week, no matter what. One of the top 5 running backs in fantasy football. That's absolutely true. But his value goes down if Hill's the starter, doesn't it?
I think
it was starting.
Man. Like Hill doesn't have a ton of downfield accuracy. I think that Kamara is still just as valuable as he was last week and any week.
I think Kamara's value takes a hit if Hill's a quarterback. If Simeon's a quarterback, I think Kamara's potential is higher. I think it's a higher ceiling.
You say Kamara, I say Kamara.
Which is a Kamara? Where we go? Let's get it. Let's both be the same, wrong or right. We go Kamara.
I think it's P. Ryan.
Okay, listen, P. Ryan for the Saints or Perrine. I just think that I think that
I think it's Kamara.
Okay,
so Kamara. All right. So in fairness, yes, Taysom Hill will steal some touchdowns.
Yes, and some carries.
Yes, and some carries.
Yes,
and so Ingram's going to do that too. So now you're looking at 10, maybe more, depending on the game plan. But I still think because Michael Thomas is now done.
Yeah, Mike Thomas
announced today.
The season. He says he's going to. Don't cut him yet because it's not official.
Well, true.
I'm saying it's not official yet.
But he's done. So that would have hurt Kamara's production as well. So Kamara still becomes, in my opinion, their best receiver. You know, nobody. So they did get Traquan Smith back, eased him back in. I mean, you know, he kind of had a bad game. I think it was his first game back.
Yeah.
He scored. He got the touchdown, but so you got another body in there to help you out. But I mean, Callaway, you know, and Smith and I think Kamara's still going to be their best receiver.
Okay.
So he may not have 20 carries in a game the rest of the way, but he'll still have 16 to 18, and
the
he'll
still where Taysom Hill really took over last year as a starting quarterback.
Are you dropping knowledge?
Here's the receptions for Kamara in those 4 games. You ready?
I thought we were going with Kamara. Come on.
Kamara. 0, 1, 2, 7. Carries 13, 11, 15, 11. Not a lot of volume there. I know he had the 7 catches for 1 game for 44 yards. He had 2 catches for 9, 1 catch for -2, and then the 0 for 0. I'm telling you.
Give me those averages because we know he's been getting 23 touches per game so far.
So that's 18, 17, 12, 13. So right around 15 touches a game.
All right, I'm taking the over.
And 10 receptions over 4 games, 2.5 a game. He might be over that also. I'm just saying, I think that it's not going to be. I think that if Hill's there, it diminishes the value of Kamara.
All right. I don't. It diminishes his touches, and yes, there may be a couple less touchdowns over the season. Right. So as I'm saying this, what you hear is Khan agrees with me.
I do,
but I still think he has as good as a chance to have boom weeks as opposed to bust weeks. I just don't think the volume is still going to be there. That's where I stand.
If the Hill is starting. Do you start Hill over Houston quarterbacks?
I would start Taysom Hill.
They say Simeon starting and Hill is out. Simeon's playing the entire game. Simeon or Houston quarterbacks?
Houston.
You're full of shit. Okay. Vegas and the Giants. All right. And we're not going to get into all the rug stuff that's going on. It's a tragedy what he's done. He's an idiot, and he's going to be locked up for a long time, all those things. Let's just talk about
We're not going to get into it except for that part.
No, I'm just going to say we recognize it, but we're not going to get into it. So okay. Vegas now at the Giants. Derek Carr, I think Carr, Waller, Renfro, right? All must starts.
Yeah, and as
long as Waller plays, obviously.
What's that?
As long as Waller plays, obviously, we'll know on
Correct.
Game day. But yeah, it's an early game, so you'll know early.
Yeah, the only concern I think you have is the running back
with the tandem. Jacobs and Drake. Yep.
Right. I think that's been a bit of a kind of a thorn in some players, some fantasy owners' side.
Yep.
Jacobs is still the starter. He still has the upsides. He has biggest upside due to volume, but Drake has some explosion tendencies in him and is more of a splash play guy. Jacobs has scored in 3 games in a row. So
right.
And he's no stranger to the passing game. I mean, he's not always involved in the passing game, but he is capable of being involved in the passing game. So if you have to choose one, I still think you go Jacobs, especially in this instance against the Giants. The game's not going to get away from them. Giants aren't going to be up big to where Drake's on the field on all the passing downs.
And you've got the other backup. We talked about P. Ryan already. You got Dillon. You got Pollard. And, we haven't talked yet about James Conner or Chase Edmonds, or I think the starter is there and how it works out. But I think that Drake is a viable option as a flex if you're hurting for running back. I'm not saying he's the best case scenario, but if you're somebody who had Derrick Henry and then because of the waivers, you missed out on McNichols, you missed out on Peterson, then you may have to start him. Drake could very well find the end zone in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've been mixing him in, not necessarily more, but better.
Like the Drake, don't love the Drake, right?
Yes, they've been putting him in better situations,
right.
And I think the 2 games that Gruden hasn't been there. Like he has been more of a factor.
Yeah.
For the Giants, Devontae Booker was seemingly there every play. I mean, he pretty much did everything.
Start Carr.
What's that?
You starting Carr?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Do want to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah. So Booker, I think, has been their everyman, certainly against the Chiefs.
Right.
And the receiver, the receivers just keep taking hits, man. I mean, we saw Tony come back and then limping on the sidelines.
Yeah, Shepard's missing this week. He said he's going to come back after the bye week.
Yeah, and Tony came back but was gimpy. So,
I love Tony if he could stay healthy, but
I think Booker right now and Ingram. Ingram didn't have the number, but he got in the end zone to salvage that fantasy stat line, and so I think he still remains a viable start. But that's it. I think just those two.
Yeah.
I'm not really. Yeah, I'm not really. Their defense, I think, can help keep them in games. Now, I'm not saying start the Giants defense. Not against
Las Vegas.
Not against Las Vegas. No.
Nope.
But I don't think either one of these teams. If anybody's going to run away with it, it'll be Vegas. In which case, then Jacobs has probably some more value.
Or where Drake does too. If they run away with it, you know what I mean? Like I could see Drake getting in some time there. I think that if Vegas runs away with it, you could look at a 50-50 touch situation just because the way they work it in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. New England at Carolina. Boy, man, New England comes. They surprise you a little bit, not just in terms of the wins and losses, but just with the progression, I think, of their offense, particularly their passing game.
Yeah.
Mac Jones has grown faster, I think, than I anticipated anyway.
Right. But it's still not dynamic.
Not dynamic. He didn't have any touchdowns.
It's efficient.
Yeah, I mean he's leading the offense, and go ahead and your boy.
No, we're not gonna do that. No. Here we go. Did it again.
Yeah.
David Harris. Yes, he's been good. No. But it's a tough matchup this week, though, dude, with that Carolina defense, and they're loaded now. You got Gilmore out there. They're loaded on defense.
I know, and they got the defensive touchdown, so it took some of the pressure off. I get that they didn't have the offense wasn't a significant role in that game against the Chargers, but even in the game against Dallas, I mean they are plugging guys in,
right?
The New England running back situation is now the New England wide receiver situation.
Adam, there was a scene in the movie Blue Chips, which I'm sure you've seen.
I know it, but I've not watched
Nick
it.
Nolte, Shaquille O'Neal, all these guys. Anyways,
right.
So Nick Nolte is his college basketball coach for this school, and he talks about the best coaching job. He's very successful. He said the best coaching job he ever did was with this team that was like a 500 team, and how he got every bit out of that team he possibly could have. Even though they had more successful teams, that's the best coaching job I ever did. This might be the best coaching job Bill Belichick has ever done, because he's got a rookie quarterback in there. He's got a no-name running back in there. He's got all these guys on defense that have been in and out because of COVID through the last couple of years. And they look great against the Chargers last week. So it's more impressive to me what Belichick has done this year than what he did in any of the Super Bowl years with Brady.
And the Cowboys loss, I thought was fairly impressive too.
Sure. Yeah.
That wasn't their style of game.
Right.
And then they were able to adapt to that. Obviously handle the Jets. That Tampa game was a different style of game, but they were in it to the very end.
Absolutely were. Yep.
So I'm not going down that road.
I'm only starting Damian Harris, by the way.
Thank you. And I agree. Myers, by the way, the touchdown-less Jacoby Myers. We've been saying he is your starting candidate of that receiving core.
He's the one you trust the most.
Yes. So in PPRs, I think listen, you're going to get your 5, 6, 7 catches from him for your 70, 80, 90 yards. But I mean, where are the touchdowns coming from? Right. I mean, like they're right. The tight ends. The tight ends are the ones that are collecting most of the passing touchdowns. So Harris and right, is it going to be Hunter Henry? Is it going to be?
I don't trust. No, I think there's better options. I think there's better options than the New England Titans this week. I do think that's true. And
I would agree.
Defense, because it's so strong, which is why I'm also staying away from everybody else on New England. But on Carolina's side now, obviously you're not starting Sam Darnold or whoever is under center for Carolina. But Chuba Hubbard is still a decent start. McCaffrey's getting close coming back. I'm still starting Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to start DJ Moore. But other than that, I'm staying away from Carolina.
Hubbard's been getting, except for the one game, he only had 12, but like 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's got a significant number of touches.
Yep.
To the point where it's kind of like, listen, I mean, if you have him and you're struggling and he's your number 4 running back, but you've got injuries and I mean, you got to do it. I mean, he's
right.
getting enough to where you don't like it, but you hope to get 60 yards or more. And man, you really hope you get a touchdown out of him. And it's possible. Like, they move the ball enough to get into scoring territory. It's just, they just don't finish.
They don't.
It's frustrating. Darnold is.
God, it's bad.
I know.
He's done. I think he's toast. I think he's done. This is a great opportunity for. No, I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I don't think. I was optimistic coming into this year with Carolina, with McCaffrey, with Rule there as the coach, and a fresh start. I thought, you know what, Darnold might be able to salvage his career. And now I don't think. I think now he'll end up being Blake Bortles.
Hey, listen. Hey, easy.
Well, back up, yeah.
Those first 4 weeks, man, were looking sweet for him.
They were,
and even that game against Dallas, he 3 games in a row threw for 300 yards,
and he got some rushing touchdowns. He was like one of the top rushing touchdown guys. But no.
Yeah, he was their offense. Okay, I mean, McCaffrey is their offense, but
right.
And then these last 4 weeks have just been. They haven't been Justin Fields bad, but they've been bad.
Okay, so you remember there was a few weeks ago where it came out about, Robert Woods is not getting the ball enough for the Rams. He's not getting the ball enough. All of a sudden, it's a blow-up game where he gets every target and has a great game.
Yeah.
Buffalo's at Jacksonville. Emmanuel Sanders was shut out last week. 0 catches.
He's going to have 40 catches this week.
Okay, so you start Josh Allen. We know that. You're going to start Moss. I got all that. But is Sanders going to bounce back for you?
Yes. And so this game isn't even fair. They should just
running clock in the second half.
Thank you. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Tua had 329 against them. Tyrod Taylor had 291.
Right.
Geno Smith had 195 and 2, but also scored on the ground and was 20 of 24. Bridgewater had one of his best games against them. This is going to be a disaster.
It has to be.
In a good way. If you're a Buffalo owner, fan, Zach Moss is going to get into the mix. I firmly believe that they're going to get so many scoring opportunities that he's
Singletary too, right? I mean, if they get way ahead, Singletary's going to get a bunch of carries too, correct? Opportunities.
Nope. Moss is going to get 2.
Okay, Singletary then is not startable if he was a flex this week.
I'm not going to put him in as a flex, but by all means.
All right, and then, but you think Sanders, Beasley, Diggs, all startable, obviously.
Yep.
Right, all 3 of them, and
then man, help me out.
It's Beasley, Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's easy. And the Buffalo defense also, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. It might be the number 1 defense this week.
There's no receivers or quarterback. We're starting for Jacksonville. And at running back, Robinson's gimpy. If Robinson starts, so you still have to play him. If he doesn't start, do you start Carlos Hyde? Let's say Robinson's out. Is Hyde a flex play for you or not, just based on the volume he'll get?
No, because for whatever reason, other than I believe a random one-off, Hyde just doesn't. Teams don't give him the bulk of the carries. I think I mentioned it earlier today, like the Frank Gore type of stat line.
Right.
I feel like that's the kind of line we expect to see from him.
Okay, I'll play this game with you. I'll do it the same way. I don't put it on the spot. Okay.
By the way, Dawson Knox probably unlikely. I don't think he's going to play.
I don't think he's gonna play.
Otherwise, he'd be a lock. Otherwise, you'd lock him in.
Okay, Hyde or Pirine?
Hyde.
I'll say Hyde also. Okay, Hyde or Pollard? I'm taking Hyde.
think if Hyde starts,
I'm saying Hyde starts, and Hyde starts, and Robinson's out. Hyde or Pollard.
I'll go. I'll go
Hyde.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Dallas is going to be up enough to where Pollard's going to get some more opportunities. I got to pick. I'll go Pollard.
Hyde or Drake.
Drake.
I'll take Drake there. Hyde or Singletary.
Hyde.
I'll take Singletary there. That's fine. Okay. Minnesota's at Baltimore.
Singletary has only gotten 8, 10, and 8 touches the last 3 weeks.
I think he gets more this week when they're way ahead in the fourth quarter. That's all I'm saying. That's why I think he gets more. But
all right, Moss is 15, 12, and 15. So I mean, the pattern is there.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah, you're banking on like a 45-0 type of game. Gotcha.
Exactly. Minnesota's at Baltimore this week. The Vikings at the Ravens. Minnesota. I mean, you're playing Dalvin Cook. You're playing Jefferson. You're playing Thielen. Are you playing Cousins?
Not unless I have to. It's just a little too erratic for me. I don't hate him. I just it's just
okay. Cousins or Mac Jones?
Man,
you're gonna hate the next one too.
Yeah, I probably am. All right, we'll go.
Cousins.
I'll go Jones.
Okay, Cousins or Houston quarterback? I know you're going to hate that one.
Listen, I'm going to back it up. I'll go Houston.
Cousins or Baker Mayfield?
Cousins.
Okay, I'll go Cousins there also. But that's it on the Minnesota offense. I mean, you're starting Jefferson, you're starting Dalvin Cook, you're starting Thielen.
Yep.
And in some cases, you're starting Cousins. They're going on the road to Baltimore. And
this could be a career game for Jackson.
I think Jackson had some pretty good career games already. I don't know if it'd be a career game.
Season high. So
okay. Go ahead.
I'm just looking at some of the numbers that Minnesota has given up. I mean, Darnold had over 250 total yards. The touchdowns weren't there, but so Kyler Murray had 400.
Right.
And so that's off. Those two are often, compared as like the new stars of quarterbacks with Allen, and I think that we could see a monster game.
Jackson's got a 442-yard passing game this year with 4 touchdowns and 62 yards rushing in the same game. He also has a 107-yard rushing game with 2 touchdowns. So I'm just saying, with the career game you're talking about, that I could see him having a very, very good game. I don't think he will.
Cooper Rush just went 325 on him.
I understand that. I'm just saying, and maybe he'll throw 400. I don't see him throwing 442 like he did against Indy.
Okay, so there's a 42-yard gap in there.
Okay. I think he could have a really good game. Yes,
fair. I said a season high, and 442 is a pretty.
Well, you want career game first. Career day, what you said first. And that's where jaw dropped.
I can't wait till he has a career game.
500 yards and 300 yards rushing. That's perfect.
I'll do my victory dance.
You'll do that then from your chair. You'll spin around. Right. Is there a running back in Baltimore now? Devonta Freeman looks like the guy again, I guess. I don't know. But is Freeman startable yet? No,
I don't know. Not. No, I don't think so. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson's the running back.
Lamar Jackson's the running back you want to start, right?
Yeah. It's there's no guy. There's no guy.
I'm with you on that. There's no guy. Hollywood Brown at receiver, but other than that, I mean,
sorry, there's no running back guy.
There's no running back guy. You Hollywood Brown,
yep,
and Andrews at tight end. But
yep.
I want to believe in Bateman, but
isn't that amazing? I'm saying that Lamar Jackson could throw for 400 yards this week, but we're only starting one receiver and one tight end.
He's going to throw to himself. You're going to see him pass it up there to himself and do it. I'm with you, man. I don't know who I would pick there, so I'd say punt.
Yeah.
Other than Hollywood Brown, I think that's the only one you want to go with. Baltimore's defense this week? Yes, no.
Minnesota has some tendencies though to get into those they've got some high scoring wins and losses. I mean,
right.
So
I'm probably not starting their defense.
I don't think so.
I like they're at home, but I'm probably not doing it.
I think they're that borderline, and listen, a lot of people just carry one defense, so you're not gonna go scouring the waiver wire if you've got the Ravens. I think you'll be okay, but temper your expectations.
Ravens or Houston quarterbacks? Just kidding. Go to the next game. What do we got next?
Chargers at Eagles. And the Chargers. So listen, we have been down on Philadelphia running backs all season long, but the Chargers have the worst run defense. So is this the week where you're throwing out, and listen, last week we really thought that was going to be Hurts. It was going to be a Hurts type of game.
I started Boston Scott in my big league and it worked out okay for me.
Sure. You got the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a Hurts type of game, and he didn't have to do a thing.
Right.
I mean, he did lead the team in rushing, but that's not what we were talking about. We thought he was going to have 300 yards and 2-3 touchdowns, and it was the running game. And Jordan Howard, welcome back to the bigs. I mean,
Jordan Howard, Adrian Peterson, Blake Bortles all in the same week. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is good stuff.
And Carlos Hyde, good Lord.
This is one of those, this is a running back. Now watch, then Hurts is going to do play action all day long and just dice him up.
I feel like I should know the stats on AOL.com. But yes, Hurts is still a must start for me.
In a 10?
Yes.
Okay.
In a 10-team league, he's a must start. And I do like Boston Scott this week. The only Philadelphia pass catcher I like is Dallas Goedert.
Agreed.
I'm not Devonta Smith this week. I'm not doing it this week. So
nope, Goddard's been clearly the top receiver the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yep, just keep riding that guy. He should be in theory a top 10, top 12 in that range every week.
Right.
He's startable just about it. Yeah. I don't see a week where he dips below 12.
I said last week he's top 6 tight end the rest of the year. Chargers right. On the Chargers side, Herbert's had some struggles lately. The Chargers have struggled lately, lost 3 in a row now. But you're still starting Herbert. You're starting Mike Williams. You're starting Keenan Allen, and you're starting Austin Eckler. But that's it, right?
Yeah, and Allen has been the guy that has been trending up lately. Mm-hmm. The consistent receptions,
right?
And finally got back in the end zone after about a 4-week layoff. But Mike Williams is the one that's been
2 catches for like 15 yards last week, whatever it was.
Yeah, but it's not just that. I mean, it's been a steady trend downward. Yeah. It's back-to-back weeks with just 2 catches,
right?
And in the middle there was that 8 for 165 against the Browns. But prior to that, it was a 1 for 11. So, I'm a Mike Williams owner.
Yeah,
and I'm probably going to go 3 receivers this week, and he's in there.
Well, by the way, the Chargers benefit too, though, from the standpoint of that. Although they're going the West Coast to East Coast thing, let's talk about all the time change and all that. It's a 4:05 kick Eastern time. So that's actually almost in his wheelhouse, right? I mean, it's not that far. It's a lot better than doing the 1 p.m. kickoff. That helps the Chargers as a whole. So I think the Chargers win the game. I think all those guys are starters for LA. I think Williams and Allen both find the end zone. I got them both.
I just think sometimes you just have to wait these things out. I mean, granted, when you get later into the year, it becomes more not panic, but a little bit more urgent that these guys start to catch on. But this is no different than a receiver having a slow start. It's just a slow middle.
Yep.
So I'm in agreement. You keep hammering those guys out there, and it should pay off.
Packers are at Kansas City, 4:25 start. Fox was hoping that they would have a Rodgers versus Mahomes matchup.
Well, listen, the storyline's still there. They're still going to eat this the love. Yeah. They're still going to eat love. Yeah.
So let's start the Packers side now.
Tunyon is out. So does that mean, granted, they have other tight ends, but is Randall Cobb essentially now the safety valve?
I'm doing the same thing with Baltimore, where I'll start one receiver. Other than that, I don't trust anybody on the receivers. I'll start Devonta Adams. I don't look Cobb. And Adam, last week I had a question for somebody about, do I start Cobb or Robert Woods? I said, start Woods. And then Cobb goes out and has 2 touchdowns on Thursday night, 3 for 15. Luckily, Woods redeemed himself and helped me with more points. But Cobb, no, I don't trust Cobb. I don't trust Lazard. I don't trust whatever that guy with the hyphenated name. I don't trust any of those guys. I start.
You anti-hyphenated name.
What's his name?
It's Valdez-Scantling.
No, the other guy. There's another guy too with a hyphenated
St. Brown, but it's not hyphenated.
It's not even him. There's somebody else I'm talking about. I'll tell you what his name is here. I think it's hyphenated. It's not hyphenated. It's a weird name though. I'll tell you what his name is here. I got it right here. It's Equanimous St. Brown.
I just said St. Brown.
Oh, that's right. You did. I was thinking of the guy isn't there a Lions guy, St. Brown?
Just go on.
Okay. I don't trust any Packer receiver other than Devontae Adams.
All right, so how about the A.J. Dillon roller coaster? You know, he's starting to get 10, 15 carries a game. Then he goes into he goes into hiding and then comes back and leads the team in rushing.
I think out of all of these number 2 running backs that we've mentioned already, that I've mentioned already, that we've talked about, out of all of them, Dillon's the one I trust the most.
Okay.
Over Perine or Perrine, however you want to say it, over Pollard, over everybody we talked about before. That is the one that I like the most.
I agree.
Are you starting any other receiver other than Adams? You're not, are you? You're not going to start Lazard?
No. This again. I think of the candidates out there.
Yep.
I still think, especially with the Tunyon injury, I think Cobb stands to benefit the most.
I agree.
But but I need to see it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I need to see it. And there's not enough bye week damage to go around where, yes, the Seattle receivers, the Tampa receivers, McLaurin. Yep. There's plenty, but there's also plenty of receivers. It's not like that. It's not like week 7 where there were 6 teams on buys.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm only considering Cobb as a flex because Tunyon's out, and so you'd have to be in a situation, a pretty narrow field to have to consider to put those 2 things together if you have them both kind of thing.
Okay. Where do you have Jordan Love? Like, is Jordan Love we've seen very little of this guy.
Right. And that's why I think more than anything, that's why I like Dillon the most out of all these running backs, number 2 running backs that we've discussed.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to have to go run heavy. And I don't think they have to go run heavy. The Chiefs defense has not been, they've been less than pressure. Watching Daniel Sorensen try to cover out there is just, I don't know why he's still out there. Thornhill should be starting. They did make the trade.
They got Ingram from the Steelers.
Thank you. They got Ingram from the Steelers, which isn't a huge boost to their pass rush in terms of, he hasn't done a lot. He's 1 sack this year, 0 last year. He hasn't done a ton the last season and a half. However, it puts Chris Jones back in the middle, and that's where he is absolutely most devastating. And so I like with a new quarterback in there, I like the disruption that defensive line might finally be able to put on Love in his first game at Kansas City. This is a tall order, and so I think the running backs, Jones especially, I think could have a big receiving day.
Right.
I don't think that the connections are going to be there with. I think we're going to see some missed time passes, some overthrows. He might get a little. Listen, I don't think he is a true rookie in the sense like you see some guys go out there with just happy feet and they panic and start throwing it all over the place or Wentz, what have you. I think that I think that Love is still they're gonna give him plenty of opportunities to have an efficient game.
Among all the early games, Adam, and by early I mean pre Sunday night game.
Yeah.
This game I'm most excited about watching because I do want to see what Jordan Love does. I do want to see what he can do out there because I really have no idea what to expect from him. I have no clue. In a 2-quarterback league, I'm starting him. In a 1-quarterback league, I'm not. But I'm anxious to see what the Green Bay.
You're watching it.
I'm watching it though. I want to see what the Green Bay offense looks like with him out there. Obviously, we didn't say his name, but you're starting Aaron Jones. Yes. On the road at Kansas City now, and the Chiefs. Last time we saw them, they damn near lost the Giants in Kansas City on a Monday night. Yeah. And the offense looks so bad. Edwards-Helaire might come back this week. If he comes back, you're starting him. You're starting Mahomes still, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting him. You're starting Tyreek Hill. And although he's struggled lately, you are starting Travis Kelce. Other than that,
I still think you're starting Darrell Williams.
You think Williams, okay.
If Edwards-Helaire isn't in the game.
Edwards-Helaire's out. Yeah, Edwards-Helaire plays though. Are you still starting? Right. If they say Edwards-Helaire's playing, are you starting Williams?
Oh no! I'll make the switch.
Yes, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Derek Gore came in there and split some carries. I think that's got some people scratching their head and maybe shying away from Williams more. But I still think Williams is the most experienced, most capable of,
most trusted. Right?
Yes, I mean, yeah. It's this again. We've mentioned this before. He's been in this role 2 or 3 times now. This is exactly why they keep him.
Yep.
Because he embraces this role. He does it very well. Mm-hmm. Listen, even only having 49, it was all 13 carries. I mean, he still had, the numbers weren't bad. He just didn't get a lot of opportunity. Right. And they split that. So rushing the ball, they still had some decent yards per carry. Just Mahomes has just been off, and they still don't have a number 2 receiver. Kelce, but they don't have a number. They don't have a number 2 wide out.
Yes,
and so they're the AFC, the Green Bay, the AFC in terms of I don't know who else you throw out there because
Hardman you're not starting. You're not starting. No, you're not. There's no one else you're starting on that Kansas City offense as far as receiver goes. I wouldn't think other than Hill and Kelce.
No, I mean we've seen Demarcus Robinson. We've seen out there not do a whole lot.
Gordon.
Yeah, Pringle's had one good game.
I know.
Josh Gordon certainly isn't a factor right now. So,
nope.
We always land on Hardman as the de facto, but it's
9 times out of 10 it disappoints us.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
We'll have one good game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's at San Francisco, the last of the late afternoon games. Cardinals at the 49ers. And I know Kyler Murray's gimpy, so keep an eye on that and see what the latest news is on him before you set your lineup completely. But if he's playing, you're starting him. And then you've got the Edmonds versus Connor. Yes, no, both, maybe one, none. What are you doing with the Arizona running back situation?
I'm still going Connor as far as from a touchdown perspective. I mean, he still is getting the hard yards.
Yep.
And Edmonds' role has been steady. Actually, it's not. Yep. It doesn't look great on the fantasy radar because the touchdowns just aren't there. But I mean, he's well over 5 yards per carry.
Yep.
Connor's under 4. I mean, it's just that Connor gets the touchdowns, and they give him the ball for short yardage, and to score the touchdowns. Murray, I mean, he hasn't stole as many touchdowns as we thought he would.
He's running less this year by design. The Cardinals said they're going to run him less. They want to have less run, which is a lot of the reason why Connor's there, because some of the carries Connor gets are ones that Murray would have gotten last year.
Correct. It's interesting. It was last year. I had Drake when he was
in Arizona.
In Arizona, and it was frustrating because they would give it to him once. They give him one shot. It was always on first down, and I was like, "Come on, man! Like he's still capable." Sure. It was that I know we're gonna get to Pittsburgh here in a minute, but when Pittsburgh they didn't have their kicker, and they were inside like the 2 or 3 yard line.
Right.
they gave it to Naji Harris on the first play, and then they threw it 3 plays in a row. And if I know I'm not going to kick a field goal, don't you just run it 4 times in a row there?
Run it 4 times. Yep, run it 4 times. I'm with you on that. Yep, I got you.
Maybe maybe 1 time, maybe, but on first down, then you do that on first down. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Okay. So I remember how it was frustrating with Drake last year because he still had 10, 9.
I think he had 10.
I mean, right. But the number of the woulda, shoulda, couldas with him last year.
Could have had 17.
Right. I mean, Connor's got 8 now. We're halfway through the season. He's already got 8.
That's insane.
They're doing what they should have done. Well, as a Drake owner, that's what they should have done last year.
Or what the Steelers should do with Connor.
Yeah.
But regardless. Okay. Yes. I'm with you. But
so Connor has earned his way into a top 20, like a number 2, I think, almost every week.
Evans is flex, right?
Correct.
Okay. Receivers, it's Hopkins, and then you trust anybody after that. Hopkins, Ertz, I trust. I know AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, they've all had moments.
Those two, Green and Kirk, are flex options. I stand by that. I mean, he's getting. I know it's a little inconsistent with Green, but I think it's slowly getting there.
But gun to your head, you can't tell me Kirk, Green, Rondale Moore, which one has the most points this week. I understand that. I'm just saying, though, gun to your head. Fictional gun.
If I'm choosing one, I'm going Green, assuming he's healthy.
But you don't feel that confident, like I don't either. I would say Green also, but I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel great about saying I'm not really confident he'll be the top scorer behind Hopkins as far as receivers go.
And this matchup isn't the ideal one you want. I mean, no. San Francisco is competent enough defensively to where, I know they had a tough game against the Colts, but just, on paper anyway, it's not ideal.
Right.
So, okay, given that, if I'm choosing, I'd choose Green.
If I'm choosing, I choose Green, but I hope I have a better option.
Fair enough.
San Francisco side of the ball. We're not starting Garoppolo.
We are not.
We are starting
Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell for sure. Deebo Samuel.
Yes.
Other than that, and Kittle if he plays.
Okay. Yep.
Kittle plays. I don't trust Ayuk. I think Mitchell's the clear number 1 back there and will be the one to get the most carries. So I'm not concerning myself with like Trey Sermon or anybody else who's back there. Michael Carter. I'm not concerning myself with any of those guys.
No, and I think that's where the loss of J.J. Watt actually hurts in a really understated way. What he did for that run game, even if he didn't make the tackle, his lateral movement was always one of his biggest talents.
He forced guys.
Their pass rush, exactly. Your pass rush will still be there,
right?
But and that's actually where his numbers fell. But he's always been a very, very solid run defender. And last week, the Packers had over 130 yards. So Elijah Mitchell has some upside this week.
I agree. I'm with you on that one. Let's go to the Sunday night game. The Titans at the Rams. Now the Titans, we already talked about Derrick Henry being out. McNichols and Peterson, out of the 2, which one do you want?
How much do you think Peterson's going to play? I don't think. I think he gets a couple series and some short yardage. Just some basic short. It's going to be one of those. If he's in the game, you pretty much know he's getting the ball.
Right.
Maybe some play action. I don't see him going 50-50 this week.
I do. I think that Peterson, as far as carries go, I think Peterson has the same or more carries than McNichols. Maybe not receptions and targets, but as far as carries go, I think Peterson is the same or better.
Really?
Yes, the McNichols. I do see that, yeah.
I see McNichols having a McKissick type of week.
Okay.
but with more carries. I mean, it's just that's yeah. This is like one of those where Gibson's banged up, and they're only gonna throw him out there as a 10 carry guy. I think this is a 12, 14 carry game, 6 to 8 reception, 20 touches.
Okay. All right.
So I'm starting him if I've got him as a flex option for sure.
McNichols and Peterson, you're taking McNichols this week.
This week, yes.
I'm taking Peterson, and that's fine. We'll see what happens as far as the quarterback goes. Tannehill, no. And A.J. Brown, yes. Julio Jones, maybe. Yes?
I think Tannehill, I think the offense now is going to shift towards him.
You're going against the Rams with Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, and now you added Von Miller.
Von Miller, yeah. So in a game situation, no, Tannehill is not a top 12 quarterback for me this week. I'm just down the road. I think as they develop more, I think that they're going to lean on him more, and his numbers are going to start to rise. And so I see him being more of a factor second half of the season.
I agree with that.
And he's going to have to be. Now,
I don't play him this week, though.
Correct. I don't have him in my top 12. That's
A.J. Brown, yes.
Yeah, man. Dude's on fire.
Julio Jones.
I'll bite.
Okay, you'll take Julio Jones.
I'll throw him out there again. I think
I'll do the flex play. As a flex play, I'll take it. That's fine. I'll take it as flex play.
Okay,
that's fine. Okay, on the LA side of the ball, Stafford's dinged up a little bit.
If he's playing, you play.
If he's playing, you're playing. No, I'm saying he had a back issue, didn't practice today, and you're looking at a Dak situation now, where, and I know we'll learn more tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. I'm sorry to say, we'll learn more Thursday and Friday. What happens? We're recording this Wednesday night, but John Wolford's a backup there. So if you're a Stafford owner, you're gonna have to decide: am I going to roll the dice and wait? Or Fields or Roethlisberger or Wolford, what are you going to do with that situation? It's a tough call. But, okay, let's put it in the shoes last week for you. Now, granted, Winston's not there anymore. You've got Houston quarterbacks. You've got Stafford, who is going to be questionable. Are you picking up Wolford and saying, you know what, I'd rather start Wolford with these weapons over Houston quarterbacks if I have to?
No.
So you're saying that if Stafford's questionable, if you got the same Dak situation, and are you going to text somebody and say, do I start Stafford or do I start Houston quarterbacks?
If Stafford is out, I got okay, yeah. If you're
would you rather
game time situation,
right?
I mean, you can't risk it, right?
I'm picking up. If I'm a Stafford owner, I'm picking up Wolford.
Really?
And I'm going to whichever one's there. Yes,
against Tennessee. I'm not the
Robert Woods at home. Yes,
Tennessee's defense. They haven't done anything to 454 yards allowed to Jaguars. They're the 5th worst pass defense, I believe. Yeah. 284 yards a game. It's not. I get it. It's not pretty, but this is like. I mean, how many Whites and Cooper Rushes are out there?
I'm so glad you said Whites, like Mike White. I'm so glad you. God, I was so worried there.
Right?
I'm with you. But if I'm a Stafford owner, my first choice is Justin Fields available? I'll grab him. Is Roethlisberger available? I'll grab him. If they're not available,
first of all, I think you should reverse the order of that.
I would take.
I'm taking this over. If assuming Roethlisberger isn't available, because he most likely is not, he's most likely a backup somewhere.
Sure.
And your options are Fields or
Wolford.
I'm going Houston
or Houston quarter. But I'm saying that, but you won't know though. I'm saying we're not going to know until it's late in the day on Stafford. We might know tomorrow. We might find out Friday. He practiced all day, and that's fine. I'm just saying if on Sunday you wake up and they're still saying Stafford's questionable, and you've got a choice.
God.
I'm going to start my Houston quarterbacks, or I'm going to pick up Wolford, I'm going to pick up Fields. Fields is my first option. Wolford second. Houston quarterbacks are third.
No, I mean, I'm completely flipping it.
Okay. And we're starting Henderson. We're starting Kupp. We're starting Woods. Higbee?
I tell you what, if there's a backup quarterback, definitely Higbee.
Very good call. You're right about that. All right, let's move to the Monday night game. We've already way gone over, but let's talk about this Bears-Steelers game on Monday night. And look, I know
wait, breaking news. I'm not attending. Sorry.
You're not?
No.
All right, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, Chicago
canceled on me. I sold the tickets. It was too much hassle. So you will have a grand old time, and I'll see you on the 3rd of January.
My level of pissed offedness could not be higher.
I told Colleen that I was going to save this for the podcast.
Okay, that was your thing you were saving back. That's great.
Yes.
Chicago's at Pittsburgh. Fields, yes, I think that he is if you're hit at quarterback.
Did you say yes?
Listen, let me figure it out. Let me go through it. If you are being hit at quarterback because you have injuries or bye week situations here, I like Fields better than Jordan Love. I like Fields better than Houston quarterbacks. I like Fields better than Wolford. So I'm just saying a certain situation, yes, I could see Fields starting in fantasy football. I don't think it's ideal. I'd start him over Mayfield. I would start him over the Whites or the White, Mike White. I'd start him over him. I would start him over Wentz. I would start him over Carolina quarterback, whoever that is. I start him. Yeah. So I'm saying in a certain situation, yes, I could see starting Fields, but I'm not in love with anybody else on Chicago's offense.
No. just a flat no. I'm not sure you start anybody on Chicago's offense. Anybody.
You might not. No, I'm saying it might be the one you start. Herbert, maybe. Right? Maybe.
All right. I'll give you that as a flex play.
Yes.
And that's got to be a weak maybe.
Okay.
But it is a maybe.
I'm so pissed you're not going to the game Monday night now, but that's for another time. Okay, on the Pittsburgh side of the ball then. Naji Harris, right?
For sure.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, and Claypool's one of those like the one thing the Bears have been able to do this year, I mean, really just the one thing, is mostly not get embarrassed.
Right.
Defensively, only Tampa really. The Browns shut him down. That was tough to watch. That was Fields' first game.
Yeah. He had no chance.
None at all. And I see potentially a similar situation playing out as far as just running for his life. However, he has slowly adapted to some of those defenses. The Packers pass rush they got a lot of injuries, so that wasn't really much of a factor. But last week, I mean,
100 yards.
Yeah, and I think that was a little bit more by design, and that was a lot of what was I think puzzling about putting Fields in there. It was like, listen, you've got this guy who's multifaceted, and it's a shame, use those talents. I mean, right. the only way that the pocket's going to open up a little bit for him is if you get him out of it. And then it's almost like it's not play action, but it's almost like you got a spy out there.
It's damn near a quarterback draw.
You're rushing one less player.
Yeah.
So, it made me think of the Roethlisberger QB draw on the 2-point conversion, which is the first time I think I've seen him call his own number. Right. And it was ruined by the holding penalty.
Yes.
Anyway, it was fun because that was some clunky ass running, but it was fun to see. Anyway, so yes, I still don't think he has a top 20 fantasy performance this week. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be Cleveland Brown bad.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be San Francisco good.
I think it's a top 20 performance for him. But on the Pittsburgh side of the ball now, Naji Harris, yes. Deontay Johnson, yes. Pat Freiermuth, by the way, I like quite a bit. I've recommended him as a buy in some of the leagues that I help out with, some of the teams. I think Freiermuth's got a chance to really be effective down the stretch. I think Roethlisberger likes throwing to him quite a bit. Ebron's done after this year. You know, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, he was out last week, so you know,
out last week.
I'm not sure if he'll factor in much.
Right. I think Freiermuth though is if you've, like, for instance, Travis Kelce is off week 12.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a bye week replacement for week 12, Freiermuth might be a guy you want to look at.
Right. Hawkinson's out this week.
Right. Hawkinson's gone this week. Obviously, Gronk is always gone. Logan Thomas on IR and all that. But I'm saying I think Freiermuth is a sneaky.
Well, Gronk might. Oh, yeah. So
I don't think Gronk will play this week. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Good job. Way to go out and win.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Freiermuth's your tight end this week?
I think he's a sneaky play. In daily fantasy, I'm certainly grabbing him. Yes.
My sneaky play is Tyler Conklin of the Vikings against the Ravens. Ravens have allowed The Ravens have allowed 6 touchdowns to tight ends this season, so I'm banking on Conklin getting in the end zone.
All right, before we get out of here, Steelers touchdown. Steelers defense. Yes, no.
Oh, for sure.
All right, you guys.
Real quick, if you are, I'm going to throw out a couple of IDP nuggets at you.
Right.
With the number of carries that Naji Harris has been getting, and Malcolm Smith was starting for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
God.
Malcolm Smith is a underrated fantasy play there in the middle. Ernest Jones for the Rams. Now that Kenny Young was traded to the Broncos, Ernest Jones, the rookie, steps in, had himself a really solid first game last week. I think I'll go with those two.
All right, I'll enjoy the game Monday night. Adam, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about things. He's at AJCon95. I'm at That Happens. Hit us up with questions going into the week. More than happy to help you. Last words, Adam?
BetUS.com.
There we go.